Hi, it's Talsvids. In this video I'm going to demonstrate the share feature which is present in iOS 8. Now, depending on what app you're using, the options you'll see in the share section will vary, but I'll go through a handful of apps and you can see what I mean more clearly. So, first app I'll show you the share feature in is Safari. So if we go into Safari, now to access the share feature, we need to click on the little square button that we can see at the very bottom in the center. It's a little square with an arrow pointing out at the top of it. So if you touch this, now this will bring up the share features. Now at the very top we can see Airdrop. Now basically Airdrop is a feature that allows you to share pictures and certain other things from an iPhone to another iPhone, or from an iPhone to a Mac, and also vice versa. Now below the Airdrop we've got messages, mail, Facebook, Twitter and more. Now this section here, this is essentially the share section. The share options that we see in here will change depending on what app you're using, but basically these are the apps that you can share, whatever app you're currently in. So in this case it's Safari, so we can share whatever we've got on Safari now. So as you can see, I'm on the O2 web page. Now if I wanted to share this with a friend, for example, we can see the first option in the share section is message. So if I click on message, that will basically paste the website address into the message section where you write your message, as you can see. And then all we would need to do then is enter the phone number of the person that we want to send the message to, or type in the first few letters of their name, and if you've got that contact stored in your contacts list, it'll appear in the suggestions, and then you just basically send it like you would with any other message. Now if we go back into the share section again, now if I touch mail, it'll basically do this exactly the same as what it did when we went into messages, i.e. it'll paste the web address into the email section, and then from there you just enter the email address of the recipient that you want to send it to. Now if you've got Facebook and Twitter installed, you'll also see what I've got on now, the Facebook and Twitter share feature. And again, you could basically share this web address onto your Facebook page, onto your timeline, and the same as well on Twitter, you could share it onto Twitter. Now you'll notice beside Twitter we've got a button with more. Now if we click on more, this will basically bring up a list of apps that you can either switch on or off, and if you switch them on they'll appear in the share section. If you switch them off they'll disappear from the share section. So as you can see on my phone, we've got messages, mail, Facebook and Twitter, which will be in the share section, but I've chose Flipboard, Amazon wishlist and Messenger to be switched off, as I don't want to see them in the share section. But if for the purposes of this demonstration I'll just switch Messenger on, then we click on done. You've got to remember to click on done, else it won't apply the change. And as you can see now, we've got Messenger appearing in the share section, and then you just scroll to the left and that will reveal the more button again. So if you then later decide that you've got an app that you don't want to have appearing in the share section, you can simply go into this part what I'm in now and switch off. So I'll go in and switch Messenger off, then click done, and as you can see now, Messenger has disappeared. Now if we go back into more, it's also possible to rearrange the order that the apps that will appear in your share section will appear from the left to right. So if I wanted to say have Facebook on the far right and on the far left hand side of the share section instead of the messages, you simply just touch on the little 3 lines on the right hand side, and then you can move that up, and then wherever you want it positioned, once you've got it there, you simply just release your finger and again click on done. Now as you can see now, Facebook is right on the left hand side. So basically you can rearrange them into whatever order you want. So if we go back into more, then I can just move that back where I had it, as you can see there. Now that section that I've just covered, that is the share section. Now underneath the share section, as you can see on mine, I've got 1Password, add bookmark, add to reading list, add to home screen and copy, and there's also some other options which I'll get onto in a moment. That this section is called actions. Now it'll basically, whatever app you're in, it'll take that particular action. So as you can see, I've got 1Password installed. Now the action that'll perform is, when I'm on Safari, it'll automatically fill in the username and password of that particular site that I'm wanting to log in. So if I touch on 1Password now, that'll then bring up the 1Password app, and from there it would basically fill in the username and the password. But obviously I won't do that on here because it'll reveal some passwords and that on me 1Password app, which I don't want to do. But basically that's what it would do. With 1Password, it would fill in your user details, your password, and you would basically be able to log in right from within this actions section here. Now the next option that we've got is add bookmark. So if we went to a particular website, we could then touch on the share button that I've showed you earlier, and you click on add bookmark, and it would simply then be just a case of entering whatever you wanted to call the bookmark. So just call this O2, and then it'll automatically fill in the web address of the website that you're currently on. It'll use them details, and then location. This is basically where you can pick you want to store the bookmark. So I just have it stored into favorites, and I think it defaults onto that. When you finish doing that, entering your name, your title of your bookmark, you then just click on the save, which is at the top right of the screen. Now the next option that we've got is add to reading list. Now basically the reading list is, say for example, you were on a news website and you were currently reading an article or web page, whatever it was. It doesn't have to be a news site, I'm just using that as an example. If you only got partly through the story and you thought, I want to go back to that later on, you can basically just touch on this add to reading list, and that particular web page and your position on that web page will be saved into the reading list, and from there you can catch up where you left off last time. And also if you've got an iPad, iCloud will sync these reading lists over to the other device, which is quite handy. Now the next option that we've got is add to home screen. Now what this will do is it'll add a bookmark, but instead of adding the bookmark into your Safari bookmarks list, it'll actually add a little icon onto your home screen. I'll demonstrate this because it's easy to see. Now if I click on add to home screen, and again you'll get this same text coming up where you can enter the name of your bookmark. So I'll just call it O2. Once we've done that, and you've got it titled like you want, you then just simply click on add, which is at the top right, And as you can see there, I must have had a previous bookmark there, but you can basically see what it does. It'll add it to the home screen. So you could basically just touch on that, as I'll do there, and you can see it loads the O2 web page up. Now the next option that we've got is copy. Now I believe this will copy the web page. I'll just, yeah, it'll copy that web page. So you might want to copy that web address into another app, or say into the Notes app that you've got, or some other app that perhaps doesn't use the share feature. Right, the next option that we've got is print. Now, providing that you've got a wireless printer that supports like wireless printing, AirPrint and the like, you can touch on this, and obviously I haven't got my printer switched on, but if I had, it would appear in the printer section. And then basically all you would then need to do would be to touch the print, which is at the bottom of this dialog that we can see, and it will basically print that web page off, or whatever it was that you currently had on your screen. Now next is more. And again, this is similar to the section that I showed you earlier on, but if you've got multiple apps that'll appear in the actions section, again you can switch them on or off, but I've only got one particular app that'll show up in the actions section, and that's 1Password. So I can switch that off if I choose, and again I can rearrange the list by touching on the 3 lines and moving them up and down, and then releasing when we've got them positioned where we want. And again, you just click on done to save that change. Now, I think that's all for Safari. We'll just go into another app now. So we'll go into Photos, and you'll see that the options will change. So if I just get a photograph on, we see the share option at the bottom left hand side this time. So if I touch that, again we've got messages. So if I wanted to share this photograph in a message, I would simply just click on that, and it'll automatically insert the photograph into the message. And then all you would then need to do would be to enter the phone number or the first few letters of the contact's name, and if it's in your contacts list, it'll bring it up in the suggestions, and then you could just send that photograph in a message. Mail, that'll do exactly the same. It'll insert that photograph into the email, and from there you can enter the email address of the recipient, and it'll send it. iCloud photo sharing. Now, I've never used this, but from what I can gather, you can have friends or family that'll have access to your iCloud photo library, and from there, when you take any new photographs, they'll be able to see what new photographs you've taken. So perhaps you might be on holiday somewhere and you want friends, relatives to see the pictures that you've been taken. Well, if you've got this option switched on, they can access that. Next, we've got Facebook, and again you can share the photograph onto your Facebook timeline. Twitter, obviously it's the same thing again. You can have the photo appearing on your Twitter. Now we can see another option here that we didn't have on earlier, and that's Flickr. Now basically Flickr is a photograph sharing website where you can store all your photos, and again you can upload that or share that particular photograph onto Flickr. Now click onto more. So again, it's similar to what we were saying earlier in Safari. As you can see, I've got Facebook, Twitter and Flickr switched on, but I've chosen to have Messenger and Flipboard switched off, so you can basically switch on or off what apps you want to appear. And again, you can rearrange them by touching on the 3 little lines and dragging them up and down and releasing when you've got them to where you want. And you just click on done, when you've finished. Now at the bottom left we've got copy, so basically that would copy that photograph, and you could then paste it into another app that you've got on that perhaps doesn't use the share feature. Print, again that will bring up that same dialog, so our printer would appear here if it's a wireless printer, and then you'd simply just click on, well, touch on print, which is at the bottom of this dialog, and it would print that photograph out. Now we've got slideshow now, so you can see the options that we're seeing now at this bottom section are different to what we're seeing earlier, but that's normal. It'll change depending on what app you've got on. So if I touch slideshow, that'll basically allow us to pick either a little transition. So basically the transition is when one photograph's changed to the other, it'll give it a little effect like a fade or a wipe or a ripple, which I'll demonstrate now. So if I just touch on ripple, and you can also have music playing as well if you want. So once you've set it up the way you want, you can then just touch on slideshow, and you'll see it'll play through the photographs I've got in that folder, and as it's changing from one photograph to the next, we've got a little ripple, which is quite nice. Now we'll go back into share. Now the next option we've got is assign to contact. So if this was, say, a photograph of your husband, wife, whatever, girlfriend, boyfriend, you could assign this to a contact, so when they telephoned you, their picture would appear along with the phone number on your iPhone screen. And then we've got use as wallpaper, so you might have a photograph on your phone that you think's nice and you would want to use that as a wallpaper, so you can basically directly access use as a wallpaper from within this share section. So you just touch that and it would use as a wallpaper, as you can see. Now the last option that we've got in the actions section is more. So basically you can just rearrange the order that you've got them in, switch on and off. So as you can see, I've got two particular apps in this action section which can use this, and they're called Sketch and Save to Dropbox. So, but I've got these switched off. But basically, if I switch on, say, Sketch, and then on Done, you'll see now that Sketch will appear in this bottom section. And again, I can switch it off if I want, and then click on Done, and it's disappeared. So basically that covers pretty much everything about the share and the actions features that are present in iOS 8. Now, depending on what app you've got in, you'll have more or less options, or you'll have different options to what I've shown, but I've just basically shown you the most commonly used apps that you would probably want to use the share feature with, but it is present in other compatible apps in iOS 8. I think that's all for this video. I hope you found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, and also if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll receive an email when I upload any new videos. Well, thanks for watching. Goodbye.